Hey, everybody, welcome to the Merge Club podcast. Merge is a club for people who have received grants to work on ambitious and creative projects. This is the podcast where we profile those people.
Today, we're speaking with Ivoine Strachan. He's a 19-year-old. Our first introduction to Ivoine was watching a video of him shocking his friends with a Ready Player One VR suit that he's building. He has an incredible story. Growing up, he didn't have access to the internet and computers. He got his first access to computers by becoming a chess champion at the age of 10 years old in the Bahamas, and he started coding on a phone using Replit. He then became hellbent on coming to San Francisco, going as far as to sleep at the airport for days on end, and then later at strangers' couches. He will be coming to San Francisco again for ODF 22, and here's our conversation with him. Hey, Ivan, great to have you on the podcast today. I know that you're working on some really cool stuff right now. Saw some exciting videos on Twitter of some experimentations. But I think it would be really great to just jump right in and maybe like rewind the clock to whenever it was that you got started on the path that you are today. What was going on in your world? What was sort of the catalyst for getting started?
Yeah, so basically, when I was younger, like the age of like 7 years old, I used to play chess a lot. I used to go like to chess practice, and my chess teacher, he's like a electrical engineer, and like every time we like play chess and we did good, we get to use the computer, and like he was like, "Hey, if you beat me in chess, you get to use the computer for like an hour." And we couldn't like play games, but he like put us on this thing called Code Blocks. It's like extremely old code editor. It's like C and C++. It's really awesome. And so I learned how to print Hello World for the first entire time. I got extremely excited. Cause like, oh, I printed that. And then I created a calculator in the terminal. It's like, how does it work, you know? I later like after I kept coming to practice just to use the computer, and I actually got the leg chess too. I became like a champion in the Bahamas for like under 10, so that was really well. And then he was like, if you do your homework every day, you get to use the computer to like do anything. I decided to like download Roblox on the computer, and then I learned how to like Roblox scripting. I was like, okay, I want to build a game to just get Robux because like I couldn't afford Robux, you know. I was like, I built my first game. It was like an anime game. I got like a couple thousand Robux, and then I used that and like I just spent it on like stuff. And then he brought like this robotic arm, like from he came from Japan. He bought a robotic arm.
So talk about the robotic arm.
Yeah. So he bought a robotic arm from Japan. He went to Japan for like a week. He told me that it was like apart, like all over the place, and I was like, I should try and like fix this. He like told me to take it home. I was like, sure. I took it home, tried to figure it out because like I didn't have internet or Wi-Fi, so like I was struggling because I wanted to search it up. I just played around with it until like I broke like a few stuff, but I figured it out in the end, and I built a robotic arm. It was like one of those like I don't know have you guys seen it, but like it was like a robotic arm that picked up stuff. I like picked up stuff off the table, so that was like my first robotic project. And then I was like, I have experience in this, so I should build a fan for me and my grandmother because like we have no electricity. I was like, if I ask him, can he like buy me parts for it? Cause like I really want to build this fan. So he got me like a solar panel, like a big battery, and like some Arduino stuff. I was like, what is this? I had no idea what it was. He got me like 1 month plan of data internet. I was like, okay, I have 1 month, and then I just learned it for like 2 weeks, and then the third week I ended up building a fan for me and my grandmother, and that was like just awesome. We had cool air coming in because like it's really hot in the Bahamas, so it's really cool.
I I'd love to get it. I'd love to hear a little bit more about that. Like this was a teacher. And you said they were a chess teacher.
Yes, yes.
Were they at your school or what was the dynamic there? It's really cool to hear about.
So in like the ghetto part of the Bahamas, there's like these community centers, and like you can go there after school to like use the computer, get like free food and stuff like that. Every day the school bell rang, I just ran there from school. It was like a 30 minute like it was like very far. I like just ran from school and then ran there to the office. So like they have like the community centers all over. And then yeah, that was like really interesting. I was like very. I started to get more interested in chess, even though I hated it at the first time because I kept losing. But
Interesting. It sounds like this teacher had like a pretty big impact on,
yeah,
I mean, a massive impact on your getting started with all of this. And what I think could be interesting for people listening is how it sounds like some of the restrictions that you faced ended up in a way kind of egging you on to build solutions. You mentioned like needing a fan without electricity, and you took it upon yourself. You were like, you know what, this is the situation that I'm in, but like let me build a fan
yeah.
and that my grandma and I can use. Like that's really cool. How do you think about how maybe some of the restrictions in sort of your getting started ended up playing a role in this bias toward action that you ended up really showing?
I'm a really curious person. I'm like, how does things work? You know, I always wanted to like figure out how stuff work, but I feel like I got started because like I wanted to do something like non-traditional. 'Cause, like in my neighborhood is like very terrible. Like people are like either selling drugs or just on the street doing something other than like because like I was inside a lot just to be safe. I can't go outside and do something, so it's like I'd rather just stay inside. I like figure it out. So I got like a few Arduino sets donated to me, and then someone donated me a phone because I didn't have a phone. So Replit, I downloaded Replit on my phone. I coded on my phone for like a whole entire. I like just coded on my phone, and every time I got a chance to use a computer, I put the code on the computer and connected it to the Arduino and tried to like set it, even though it broke. Cause like, how are you supposed to write code without internet and you can't like see the errors and stuff? It was like very interesting. So that was like a little downside. So like, every time I went to like community center, I did that. I just built like some robotic. Well, it wasn't a big robotics project. I built like starter robotic for like the car, like a mini car, like that drives around. And then I built like a light bulb. It's like a light bulb generator. I have it somewhere here because like we had no light, so it's like a little light bulb, and then like you can charge it. It's like, have you guys seen like the battery pack?
I don't think I have. What is it? Yeah.
So it's like a little small like generator. You can like you can
Mhm.
charge it by the sun too. And, like someone gave it that to me, like but it wasn't working, so I fixed it. So I don't know how I fixed it. I did it somehow, but yeah, I fixed it, and then I charged my phone using it. Cause like before, I just went across the street to my neighbors to like say, "Hey, can I charge my phone?" Okay, I charged my phone. I just used that to code all the time, and then that I went to like high school. That was a very interesting experience. There was like I played the trumpet for a while, like a big while. So I'm like really extremely good at trumpet. But I was like, music isn't really my thing. Because like there's no such thing as technology classes unless you go to like a private school or something. They're expensive. But yeah, so I just went walking around the community. I went to this one center. There was like a STEM class. What is STEM? I never heard of STEM. I like went there. For those who don't know what STEM is, science, technology, engineering, math. So I went to like a STEM class. I was like, "Hey, you're really interested in this." And like a few weeks later, he took me to the school he worked at. He was like a computer science teacher, and it was like a private school. It's like 50K a term. So like, oh wow. And he let me talk to the principal. 3 weeks later, he called my grandmother saying, "Hey, Ivoine is getting a scholarship at this school." I was like, "Oh wow!" I got so excited. So they turned on the electricity for a bit, like whilst I was in school. They turned on the Wi-Fi. They donated us food. It was crazy. And then I went to school every day for I it was like very since I'm like terrible at math and stuff. I was like way behind all the like private school because in public school they teach you absolutely nothing, like nothing at all. But in private school it's much more advanced. So I was falling behind like a lot. and my computer science teacher said to me, "You should stop coding. You're not good at coding. You should like do something real." I used to like build like a lot of games. I was like extremely good in physics as well. It's like, hey, do something real, bro. You're not gonna make it. So like that got to me, you know. But I was like, I can do this. I decided to like leave school and like raise money to go to San Francisco. I messaged this random guy on Instagram saying, "Hey, can I stay at your place for 6 months?" A complete stranger. He said, "Sure." I have messages. I can send you a screenshot after. I can send you, and I convinced him. He's like, "Sure." I went to like the border protection, so I wasn't 18 yet. I was 16, going on to 17. So I said, "Hey, I'm going to the United States for 6 months." They say, "Hey, no, you can't stay that long. We're going to shorten your trip to 3 months." So I was like, and then, and then I also had $0, and they asked me how much money I have. I told them $0, and they say, "Hey, we don't, we don't," and they gave me it. They let me in. They say, "Okay, we're gonna give you this chance. We're gonna let you in as long as you come back home to the Bahamas." And then I went, and then I slept on a couch. I have like photos too. I slept on a couch for like 3 months. I got He took me to like places like all I got referral internships at Roblox, Google. It didn't go anywhere, but I was glad that I was able to get the connections, you know. Even though like that was a very interesting experience. I got to meet so much people. I actually went out there and took the risk. Like when I go back home, I have to like show my grandma that I really did something. So like every time I go to the Bay Area, I have to do something, and I actually did something. So that was really cool.
Well, let's stop for a second and just play this back. Rewind for a moment here. You're at Are you at the border? Are you trying to fly? Are you still in the Bahamas, or when you're talking to the border people, are you already in the United States? You've landed here? And what was actually happening there?
I was still in the Bahamas. They took me to secondary
Uh-huh.
inspection. Guys,
Oh
so
gosh.
secondary inspection. I was in there
Yeah,
for
yeah,
one
the little room.
hour. Yeah, I was in there for 1 hour. I was like, 16-year-old me, scared, bro. Like, did I do something wrong? I was gonna cry. like, like, I
That's
didn't know you're
amazing.
not supposed to say the full 6 months. Like, there's like stuff you're supposed to say. I just was being honest. I was like, oh, I'm going there to try to get a job.
Hey, you're
Like,
16. How would you know? Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
totally.
And I didn't tell him I was going to a complete random stranger. I was like, hey, I'm going to stay with my friend. I'm going to stay with my friend.
At what point did you start to get involved more with online communities and sort of meeting people online? Because there was a lot of your childhood where you didn't have much access to internet, you didn't have access to computers or even a phone. At what point did you start to go online and get to know people online? Because it feels
Yeah,
like maybe I'm projecting, maybe I'm wrong here. So let me know if this isn't true. But it feels like a lot of the people that maybe you resonate with most weren't the people who were necessarily immediately around you in person, but maybe they were people that you were meeting online.
yeah. So I was more active online at 17, like 16 to 17. I met this dude called Eric Zoo. He like yeah, it was like prime Eric Zoo. He was like I met his brother at first, and then his brother was like, "Hey, you should talk to my brother Eric." And then me and Eric talked for a bit, and he invited me to Hack Club. I was like, "Oh, what's Hack Club?" I joined Hack Club. I went to a hackathon. Like they flew me to San Francisco. I slept in the airport for 2 days because I didn't know anyone. So I slept in the airport waiting for the hackathon to happen. Eric, like, he helped me out a lot because like during that time my mom died. I mean, I don't really know my mom, but she died, and Eric like donated me some money to like, hey, here's some money, go pay for your mom's funeral. That was like very hard time there, but yeah, Eric introduced me to Hack Club. That was like very interesting. Yeah, so Discord is very helpful to meet random strangers on the internet.
That's amazing. I mean, Yeah, Eric is quite a character, but also obviously a really good person too.
Yeah,
And so you got there early essentially to San
yeah,
Francisco. You didn't know where to stay.
yeah.
So you just slept at the airport? Did you leave the airport for the day and come back, or
No, I just slept in
what
the
happened?
airport. I just slept. I was just like, oh, I'm just gonna walk around the airport. So yeah,
Gosh. And so this was your first trip to San Francisco,
yeah.
right?
That was before they're like, yeah, that was the first
Mhm.
trip.
So we should transfer over to talking about what you're working on today in a second, but maybe we could talk a little bit more because I think that there are so many people who are going to be listening to this and curious about your story and how it might relate to them. Maybe you should talk a little bit about, if you're open to it, talk a little bit about your grandma because it seems
Yeah,
like she's such an important influence for you. You know, you've taken a really non-traditional path. And I know in the past you've told me that she was just incredibly supportive of you doing that. Maybe you can tell people a little bit more about her and what she means to you and sort of that relationship.
yeah. So like, I really love my grandma. One thing about her, she has a back problem, and she doesn't work, so she gets like pension, but for like the whole time I was alive, she somehow take care of me. I'm like really grateful for that. And I told her, I mean, I didn't tell her I was dropping out. I just never went back to school. I was like, hey, grandmother, I really want to go to San Francisco because there's this thing called technology. She like didn't really know what software engineering is or anything. So like, she still doesn't really know what I'm doing. She's just like, hey, I believe in you, but you have to make sure that you take care of me and you like make it. And then so I just flew to San Francisco, and she's like, she calls me every day. We talk. It's like, so the relationship with my grandmother is really well. Make sure you have someone that supports you like really well.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
Well, maybe you can tell us a little bit more about what you're up to today, what you're working on. I know. Maybe we'll start this video actually when we edit it with a clip of you zapping your friends.
yeah,
I really I told somebody earlier that I'm about to record a podcast with a kid who shocks his friends. But yeah, talk to us and tell everybody here about kind of what you're up to and what you're working on today.
yeah. So basically, I can start off by saying I'm working on a suit for virtual reality that I assume you guys have seen Sandbox VR and B Haptics. They're using haptics for like VR, like a vest. But I was watching Ready Player One, like, and then there's this anime called Sword Arts Online. It's also like a VR anime, and I was like, hey, what if I built that? And then I researched up suits for VR, and then I saw like Sandbox VR, and I went to like go to SF to try it. I liked it, but it felt like a vibration, you know. I told the guy that showed me and demoed me. I said, "Hey, I'm gonna work on something like this." He said, "Good luck." I was like, "What do you mean by good luck, bro?" And then I was like, "Oh, I'm definitely gonna do it now." So I started researching online about what's the best way to feel like stimulating the muscles, and then I saw these stuff called TENS units, and so I got sponsored to come to San Francisco. So people gave me money. I sent the email saying, "Hey, I'm gonna be using your money to build a startup." They said, "Sure, go ahead." I went on Amazon. I bought like TENS unit and some pads to like attach to my skin. I tested it out. It felt like really like someone was touching me and punching me. So like I stripped the wires, bought a microcontroller, stick it in, got a breadboard and the relays, and then I decided to create like an API to like connect it with my friend's game. They were creating like a soccer game, so I created a soccer game, and then every time that you send a signal to the API, it sent you a shock to your body, and you felt like the stimulation. But for some reason, I decided to turn it up just to shock my friends. So that's where the shocking came from.
And so, like, from the time that you started watching Ready Player One, and you thought, like, I want to create exactly what I'm seeing in this movie,
Yeah.
to the point where you're actually like ordering these things and testing it on yourself and your friends. Sort of, what was the blow by blow with that? How, I think we know a lot of people who might have this idea. I'm sure probably almost everyone who watched the movie thought, oh, like, could I actually build this? I would love to buy something like this.
Yeah,
But you watched it and you decided, I want to go build this.
yeah,
How did you, like, where does the confidence come from, and how did you go about actually doing that? I mean,
yeah,
were there hours of research? Were you doing simulations online? Were you speaking with industry experts? How did you go about this?
yeah. So I actually watched Ready Player before, but I wasn't like thinking of building it. And then I watched it again. I really like VR stuff. I like VR games. I just my friend has like this hardware garage. I like went to it every single day, and he does like hardware. He also dropped out of high school. He was in this program in New York called Recurse Center, and he gave me access to his garage. I was like, I'm like people sponsored me to come here. I was like, I should be doing something. At first, I was thinking of building a VR headset. I was like, oh, that's already out there, you know. And I was like, what if I watch Silicon Valley and like other startup movies to like get inspiration for a startup? So I was like, I just watched movies for like a few hours, and then I stopped at Ready Player One. I was like, yo, that's so cool. What if like I can like do play games in like a suit, like a physical suit? It's like that like really inspired me. I was like, if other people can use this and other developers can build upon this and like make it much better, like there see more creativity in the VR world. Because like it's just starting, you know. Like you can just see the VR space. But like what if you can actually feel it? I wanted to like build that part. And Palmer Lucky is a very big inspiration too.
Yeah, so it sounds like sort of the people that you were surrounded by and the content that you were ingesting played a big role. Like just going
Yeah,
to this place that, this friend's hardware lab, and
yeah,
seeing people who, if I had to guess, it sounds like they maybe were more experienced than you were at the time in hardware.
yeah,
But just being able to see that in front of you, it sounds like that maybe sort of opened your mind up to, like, I can actually just do this. I don't have to spend years researching. I can just
yeah,
like figure out what equipment I need, buy it, and then figure it out after the fact. And correct me if that's wrong, but it sort of sounds like that's what happened.
yes.
And so now, from the time that you order this stuff, you figure out what you need, to actually like constructing it and getting a working version. What was that like?
Oh yeah. At first I doubted myself because I had no idea what I was doing. So I was like, oh, how am I gonna make this shock me on command and like gauge the voltage where it feels like someone was touching me? So I actually did do a bit of research. I searched up like electricity, like ohms, and like all the other electrical engineering stuff. I even tried to like 3D model because like I was watching a video like how engineers like 3D model like stuff before they start working on it. But I was like, oh, why should I do all that? I should just like go into it and figure it out. If I mess it up, I I tried. So I tried. I didn't mess it up. I figured it out. But I also called like a few friends. Hey, I don't know what I'm doing. How am I gonna do this? They told me to use an alligator clip and click it to like the wire and then stick it inside of like the prongs, connect it to Arduino. I didn't know what they were saying, so I just decided to strip a wire and then stick it inside of the like her breadboard. It's like- and I was like, the first like few stuff I stripped, it like just came off. Like I just popped the wire, so like I kept messing up. So like I like, and then I like later just tested on me. Like I have a video. I don't know if you guys seen the video of me testing it, but yeah, I tested it on my skin. I like felt awesome. My muscles were pumping. Like, oh wow, that's really cool. And then I researched it. Like no, I noticed that athletes use these at like for like muscle training. I went to like this fitness startup event. I told people about my startup. They was like, "Hey, you know you can use this for like fitness, right?" I was like, "Oh, I didn't know that." And they're like, "Oh, you can also use this like if you're playing in a basketball game in VR, and like someone like bumps into you, you can feel it."
Mm.
I was like, "Oh, I didn't know that, bro." And then I went to this defense tech event. They was like, "Yo, you should call email Parma Lucky." during then I didn't know Farmer Lucky was. I just researched him. Oh, he's the guy that created the Oculus. And then I called him Palmer Lucky. He didn't reply, but that was actually pretty cool. And I emailed him, and then he was like, "Oh, this is really good for like defense tech." He said, "Email the military, dude. You're gonna make so much money."
So maybe we could talk a little bit about what you're hoping to accomplish over the next couple of months.
Yeah.
Like you're coming out to San Francisco, you're participating at ODF 22. What do you hope to have happen over the next few months for this project for yourself?
Yeah. I hope to like accomplish getting an O1 visa. That's like top right because I don't want to be in the Bahamas. Yeah. I love to bring tech back to the Bahamas, but right now I can't be in this environment to like succeed. But that's like what
Sure.
I want to do. I also want to like be able to like so like right now I'm learning how to sew for the suit because I have no idea how to sew. Because like to build a suit, you need to like sew the fabric. So during the months, I want to like learn how to sew with conductive thread, not regular thread. It's very different because you're dealing with electricity.
Mm.
I recently learned that like 2 weeks ago. But I also want to like be able to like meet more people that is like more immigrants actually, because like I haven't met anyone from the Bahamas. Like every I went to San Francisco like 3 times already, and I haven't met like a single person from the Bahamas. So I want to like get it out there, like, hey, if you're in the Bahamas and you're interested in tech, you should come to the Bay Area and get out there. I also want to like be able to like raise funding to like go all out on. I already went all out on the idea, but I'll like be able to like go fully on the idea, like to be able to not worry about how I'm gonna get money to like build this. Yeah, that's basically what I want to see in the next 3 months. Or yeah.
Amazing. Well, I don't think I have any more questions for right now. I think we've covered such an incredible range of topics. Really gave people a good sense of your background, sort of how you got started, all the different sort of curiosities and areas that you explored as you kind of developed your skills. And man, I mean, talk about skills. You can do everything from hardware to software, and now you're even working on your sewing abilities.
Yeah.
You're just going to be completely unstoppable. It's really great to have you on here, but it's even better to have you in the merge community and for you to be joining ODF 22 coming up. We're so excited for it. So Ari and I will see you really soon in SF.
Awesome. I'll see you guys in August.
See you then.
Wow. So we just had an amazing conversation with Ivan. I don't even know where to begin. Talk about a story. Somebody who's just incredibly resourceful, who just follows his curiosity. And gosh, I mean, he was teaching himself robotics and how to code with pretty much no internet access, building things that were interesting to him and building things that were practical to him. And it also just goes to show the value of having people in your life, could be sort of guardians or people who are sort of like taking care of you as a kid, or it could be external influences like the chess teacher. But what an incredible story. Thoughts on your end?
No, I mean, it makes me wish that I was working in hardware. It makes me wish that I could beg him to have me work on something with him. I mean, absolute just drive and bias toward action, I think, and great example of how like limitations can end up in their own way, like sort of propelling you into creating your own solutions and getting ahead of where you ever would have imagined otherwise. So yeah, I mean, great story, like you said, and just like I can't wait to see what he does next. Coming to San Francisco, startup and tech capital of the world, like yeah, it's only up from here for him.
Totally. There's really something to be said about um, the way that he goes about figuring things out. I feel there are very few people who would just say, I need to come to San Francisco. I'm going to DM some strangers and ask if I could stay on their couch. And then find the strangers who not only say yes, but then introduce you to people who could be, incredible people for you to work with or collaborate with, like the Roblox team. And I think there was also something really amazing just about the fact that the guy shows up. He just shows up, he teaches himself, and he doesn't let anything get in his way. And I think that that's going to carry through for for all of the next projects that he pursues. And I'm so excited for him to be in ODF 22.
Yeah, me too. Me too. We'll both be there. I'm looking forward to meeting him in person. It's really crazy stuff, and also I think it's a great example of leveraging what you like to call the second best city for startups, which is the internet. Leveraging communities and connections that made through Hack Club, made through Tech Twitter, other communities on Discord. Yeah, just really really cool guy.